My phone cut off from being full of memory, so. Anyway, I was saying that Tina grew up in this abuse too, but she denies it. Because she's been told ever since we were little that she gets all the money and I get nothing. And when Alice would always threaten that she's going to leave and divorce Frank because they hate each other so much, she'd always say how she's going to take Tina with her and not me. So Tina was abused, but not as severely as me. And so either that, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how you explain it. It's just like when you see families of children that grow up in cults. For some reason, there's some of them that even though they're born and raised in that environment, in that brainwashing, they still have the instinct to escape and get out and to know it's abusive. Yeah, there's some who stay because it's all they know and they don't believe it's abusive. That's what they're taught, is that the rest of the world is evil, and that's what we were taught. Alice has a reason why there's something wrong with everybody else in the world, and why we're not allowed to talk to anybody or have family. Like, we never had relationships with family. I had a relationship with my grandma when I would spend time to reach out to her, but I don't know how to explain. I mean, Alice just has a reason why everybody's crazy or jealous of her or whatever. Like, she'll even say that, oh, her cousins are crazy because they can afford to live in West Van, yet they choose to live in Coquitlam, so there's something wrong with them. Because why would you want to live in Coquitlam when you can afford to live in West Van? And that's the kind of brainwashing that she uses, is like all these little digs of trying to explain of why her way is better or the only way or whatever. And that's what she used on Austin, to make him think that there was something wrong with him having his long hair and to push him into her ideas of her gender roles. And I know exactly what she would say to him. Well, why would you want to have long hair? Why would you want to look like a girl when you could look like a boy? Why don't you think this would look better? Oh, blah, blah, blah. Like, she just keeps digging at you until you eventually think that it's like your own idea or she's right or whatever. And if you ever make the mistake of trusting her and confiding in her, she ends up using it against you. You can never have a relationship with that woman. I've never seen her have any friends that she confides in and has like an ongoing relationship with. Like, she doesn't have girlfriends she goes for coffee or wine with every week and shares her life with or anything. She has no relationships with anybody because she hates everybody and she talks shit about everybody. It's like, as a mom, you're supposed to be able to like tell things to her. And if you would tell her something, like about liking a guy or whatever, like I had the same crush, a crush on the same guy for many years in high school. And she'd always like put him down and say, why would you have a crush on him? He's ugly. He has a big nose and blah, blah, blah. All these nasty things. And you know what? To this day, we're still friends. I've had long-lasting relationships with people, and her relationships last like a couple of years of her trying to bribe people with her presence and then bitching that people don't buy her enough stuff back until she gets fed up with the fact that they don't buy her anything back, because to her, everything is about money. And that's what everything with her is talking shit about people and complaining about them and talking about how somebody else isn't good enough and making you think that everything that she says is the only way. And just like if I broke up with a boyfriend or something, you could never tell her why. You just keep everything to yourself, because otherwise it gets used against you, even if it was like completely not my fault. First of all, she'd always just blame you anyway, because you must not be good enough if you can't keep a guy. And then if it isn't your fault, if you're standing up for yourself because he cheated on you, then you're still at fault because you were stupid enough to pick such a loser who would cheat on you. It's like there's no empathy, there's no concept of how to be a mom and a caring person in any capacity. And that's why she says, nasty things like children ruined her life and she can't wait to get rid of us all till she can run away. One day we're all going to wake up and she'll be gone off to some farm somewhere and we won't know where she is, and we'll be lucky if she comes back to visit us someday. These are the kinds of disturbing things this psychotic person says. And now she has my child in her care. so that she can say all these horrible things to him and brainwash him into how he needs to keep his mouth shut and how everything that she says is what's real and how he'll be worse off if he complains about her and gets taken away and put in a foster home or anything like that. You get brainwashed into thinking that you need to just abide by her or everything will be worse. And when you make the mistake of trying to trust somebody to get you help to get out of there, all they ended up doing was betraying me and going back to her and telling her the problems I was having or what I said about her or whatever so that I'd get beat up more. So you just learn to keep your mouth shut and just wait until the day that you can get out of there. And now I know all this brainwashing is working more on Austin because he's already been taken from me with no reason given. And that's what these psychotic people can do. They can just come to your house and give you absolutely no reason except for something stupid like, well, Alice has concerns. Guess what? That's not a legal reason to take a child, you dumb bitch. And I hadn't even spoken to her in 10 years, so how the hell are her concerns valid? I have concerns about her every day, and nobody listens to my concerns about my child. Nobody's taking him from her because I have concerns and I am the mom. And that's the only damn title that matters. She has zero experience. She's never had any anger management training or anything, and Frank has to be an alcoholic to live with her. He can't even stand her, and when she's beating us or screaming at us, he does nothing. He just sits there and hides in his room because he doesn't want her to turn on him. He doesn't do anything to protect us. What the hell kind of father is that he doesn't fucking call 911 and say my wife is a psychotic bitch having another meltdown and beating the shit out of her kids? No, he just was the one beating the shit out of us when we were little until she took over. Nobody listens to how fucking bad it is in that house. And everybody just makes excuses because they have money and live in West Van, so it can't be that bad. And Frank always just says stupid things like, I don't know why you kids just can't get along. All we ever did was pay for everything for you. Like that means you're a good parent. First of all, no, you didn't pay for everything for me. You paid for everything for Tina. I had to get a job. I had to work. I had to earn the things that I got. Yet you guys, they all just keep claiming still to this day that they paid for everything. And that's not true. Alice even claims that she always paid my rent. She only ever helped me with half a month's rent one time. She never paid my rent. Just like one time she claimed that she paid for airfare for me. Well, she went to look for that receipt, and guess what? She never found it. The only receipt she found is the one I told her she'd find, and that was the fact that she paid for Austin and I to have the health care when we went to Austria. But she wants to just keep making up her lies and telling people I'm a pathological liar because that has to be the explanation, is there's something wrong with me, because it can't be that there's anything wrong with her. No, she's just a racist, psychotic bitch who beats the shit out of her kids and says she can't stand the fact that she ever had kids because we ruined her life. And the only reason she has Austin right now is because she wants to have power over me and prove that she's right. She can't stand the fact that I stood up to her and got away from her. And having Austin isn't about her trying to be a caring grandma and a loving parent. No, that's her just trying to prove that she was right and I'm wrong. And that's all it is. And that's why she's the Wicked Witch of West Vancouver. Because she's a psychotic bitch that keeps buying her way out of problems. Like, seriously, how the hell does a cop just, like, ignore the fact that she threatened to hire a hitman for 5 to 10 grand or 15 grand, whatever it was, to kill me? Because her exact words were, that's just a drop in the bucket for me. Like, seriously? That's supposed to be my mother? I mean, no wonder I have freaking nightmares for years. Like, Austin's even seen me screaming in my sleep. He knows these people are dangerous because when I'm screaming in my sleep, it's because I'm having nightmares about Alice and Tina and Frank beating me or bullying me or whatever kind of abuse is happening. That's called PTSD. That's called abuse. Yet MCFD wants to keep pretending that Alice and Frank are sane people. Really? Then why do I have PTSD if they're so sane? Why do I have unlovable tattooed on my wrist if they're such good, sane people? One time when I was holding Austin and I ran out the front door to get away from her beating me, I didn't have shoes on or anything. I just ran out there. And she's screaming at me that she's going to call the police and tell them I'm a bad mom and convince them to take Austin away from me because I went outside in the middle of January with no shoes on. And that's the kind of fucked up brainwashing that goes on your entire life, is you always believe that they're going to believe her over you. And so sure enough, I went back in the house. Instead, it's like, no, the cops should believe me that I was that desperate to get away from her, that I ran outside in January without shoes on to get away from her abuse. That's how fucked up brainwashing works, is that you believe your abuser is always going to be taken as the one who is right, even though it's not true. And that's the fucked up society we're in, is if you don't have the money to have your voice heard, then you can just be railroaded by the Wicked Witch of West Vancouver. And she just keeps buying her way out of child abuse.